Hello everybody. You will notice the scenery has changed a little bit and we have added another person. This is my very good friend Kayla.
Hello.
And today we're going to be talking about dungeon mastering. Now Kayla, how many times have you been a dungeon master?
0.
That's right folks. We are popping a cherry today on training day. Welcome to yet again another DMing experience. We have my lovely guest and trainee this week, Kayla. And this week we're going to be talking about creating your own campaign. Not running pre-mades, but actually 100% fully created campaigns. Kayla, as far as like custom campaigns, have you run a custom campaign with any of the DMs?
I know for sure at least one that you took us through, and I honestly think by far that was my favorite campaign ever that I've ever been in. It was really intricate. It took my personal character and it helped me connect with her because Jody asked us ahead of time to write backgrounds on our characters, and it helped me get into character better, and then he inserted it along the campaign, so it really made me feel a part of the story.
And that's one of the most useful things to do when you're creating your own campaign. The first thing that you want to start with, though, you need to pick a campaign setting. The one that Kayla's talking about is in a custom-made campaign setting that I designed called the Kingdom of the Kale Islands. Generally, if you're new to creating campaigns, you can go with a pre-made campaign setting. Things like the Forgotten Realms or Eberron or Dark Sun. They all have campaign settings released by Wizards of the Coast that will give you all the information you need to be able to create your own custom stories. Forgotten Realms is really popular mostly because there is such a large source of knowledge that you can draw from. Everything from fiction novels all the way through campaign settings from every single edition of Dungeons and Dragons. It's really a great place to start. My personal favorite campaign setting is Dark Sun. When I was very small, I played a computer game called Dark Sun Shattered Lands. It was based on 2nd edition Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, and it was set in the Dark Sun campaign setting, which is this really hard post-apocalyptic desert world where magic is all but gone and water is very scarce, and it's really, really a fun campaign. It's very, very difficult for the characters. Like most characters will start at level 3. Because of how difficult the campaign setting is, it's just designed to kill people off. And it's a lot of fun. First you want to pick a campaign setting, and then you need to figure out the story you want to tell. Now it might be a small story for like just a one-shot. It might be an entire campaign that you want to draw it through. That's something that you get to decide. And one of the best tips I ever got from another DM was choose a story that you're already familiar with it and fit it into your campaign setting. So Kayla, think of like a book or a movie you've seen recently that you really, really enjoyed.
The Hunger Games.
The Hunger Games, okay. Perfect. So boil down the Hunger Games into its most basic aspects. What is it? Well, it's basically a gladiatorial combat type thing. The gladiatory aspect of it actually fits in very well with the Dark Sun universe because gladiator games are a huge part of their infrastructure. It's actually one of the backgrounds you can choose as a Dark Sun character. The first game that I played actually starts you as a gladiator slave. So you start with, kind of merging them, and in the Hunger Games, you had Katniss volunteering after her sister was chosen by the aristocracy. So you fit that into your Dark Sun campaign setting. Maybe the Sorcerer King of that specific city-state has told one of his Templars to go out into the surrounding land and pick up more slaves to add to the gladiator arena. And as you can see, it actually starts writing itself at that point, and you just keep blending the two genres. The closer you follow the story, the more likely it is that your characters are going to go, this is the Hunger Games. And sometimes that works well because then they're a part of one of their favorite stories. And sometimes that annoys people because they think you're being uncreative or something, which, as we've already seen, is far from the case. because there's a lot of creativity that goes into even using someone else's story. But it's a great way to make sure that you're going to have a very interesting and captivating story. The other thing that's nice about it, and Kayla mentioned it before, is because you have actual human beings affecting how this goes, your story may not follow the same story as the novel did, because they're not going to react the exact same way Katniss did. And Katniss was one person, and your main character is going to be a group of people. And so things are going to move a little bit differently, and the more you can really add your characters' stories and stuff into the campaign, the better it's going to be. And they're going to feel emotionally connected to their characters, to the non-player characters that you add in there, and you can really create some touching moments for them, whether something good happens, whether something bad happens. I enjoy a good sad moment for motivation. It gives something bad happens and motivates people to do something. And so one of the things I did to poor Kayla and her group is I created a character that they got fairly well known with. He was only around for one session. But he was a captain of a ship, and at the end of the campaign, I
killed him off. It didn't matter how hard we tried to save him. He was going to die no matter what.
And they were very upset about that, and because they had an emotional attachment to this character. And because of that, that gave them motivation to continue through the campaign. They have this little thing of, he died, so that we could keep going, and they have a motivation and an emotional connection. And there's been good things and bad things, like Kayla's character was reunited with her family, who were all slaves, and it's really, really a unique way to bring people into it. The most difficult part of starting your own campaign and custom making something is starting. Once you start, again, a lot of the times you will have an idea and it tends to write itself. And then based on what you're already doing, you'll start seeing monsters that fit in there. And it kind of goes. It's just that initial start point. And it does take some time. Like my custom campaign setting, I spent probably about 1.5 to 2 months writing. D&D High, another custom campaign setting I created, took me about 4 months to write all the background information for stuff like that. So it's not something that you're going to be able to do, in a night when you're bored, if you want to create your own campaign setting. Creating your own one-shot adventure is a little bit easier. You can normally do that in maybe a couple of days, a week, because again, you already have pieces that you can kind of fit in there. Or if you're using someone else's campaign setting, a lot of that is a lot easier. If you had someone coming to you, a new DM, and they wanted to know, how can I go about writing my own campaign or writing my own adventure, what would be the most important advice that you could give them?
Start at the beginning. Start with the place or the world you want to have it in. Decide how big of a game that you want to make it. And then the biggest thing from there is deciding what kind of story you want to write.
Mm-hmm. So that is the end of our DMing sessions. The next time you're going to see Kayla and me together, I'm going to have Kayla actually run a one-shot campaign for a few of our friends, and we're going to actually get to see how she does. We're going to get to talk to her players. We're going to get to talk to her and see how she felt about it. That might be a little bit down the road, because again, there's a lot of planning that goes into it. But stay tuned later in the season, and you will definitely be able to see some pretty cool stuff coming from that. So that's all for me, and I will see you at the next training session. Bye.